Hey guys, how are you today? I come to you today as the founder of BRRRR.com, as well as being a professional attorney and real estate investor. 10 years as a BRRRR investor and also guiding clients through their real estate transactions on that side of things. So coming to you with this presentation, be together for a little while today, but really good topic to talk about. Hope you take a lot away from this presentation. Tell you a little bit about me, my background, how I've gotten from where I was to where I am now. And I think it'll serve as a really useful resource for you as you pursue your own projects as a BRRRR investor. So what's the main focus today? How to protect yourself as a BRRRR investor, contracting wisely with your contractors, property managers, and tenants without paying massive legal bills. So what I want to show you today is how you can enter relationships with those folks, the people that are going to be crucial to your success, while saving time, money, not hiring the wrong lawyer, making the mistakes that a lot of people do from the get-go that cost them a lot of money. I'm going to give you the tools, resources you need to do that effectively. I'm going to show you how to avoid the traps that people fall into and give you some really strong content as to what you should be including in the contracts that you enter with those folks to make sure that they're investor friendly, that you're protecting yourself to the best of your abilities as you hire the team that's going to be important to you, which is your contractors, the property managers that you hire, and obviously the tenants that you lease your properties to that are going to be staying there. Why are we here today? You're either new to BRRRR investing or you're ready to go to the next level. I'm going to take you through my 10-year process of investing, and I hope at the end of the day you see the resources that are available to you to find yourself in the same position. You want to mitigate the unknowns of BRRRR investing. You know, the horror stories of working with bad contractors, property managers, getting a horrible tenant, and also them looking at the agreements you have with them and saying, well, I'm not going to do that because the agreement doesn't tell me to, or because I don't think it's enforceable, or something along those lines, and it leaves you holding the bag. All of that we want to obviously avoid. You're excited about the financial freedom that BRRRR investing can offer. Obviously, that's the driving force for many of us as we make decisions about investment strategy and what we want to do with our resources and how we want to get into real estate. It certainly was for me. The exponential growth of being able to recycle the same cash deal after deal and really build a strong portfolio. You know that you have to limit your biggest risk, and that's people. That's what we're talking today. How can you use the legal agreements that you enter into to control the nature of the relationships with the people that matter to your investment portfolio the most? Do any of those describe you? If so, you're in the right place. We're going to learn a ton together today. Our goals, regardless whether you're just getting started or you're more experienced, I want to show you how you can take control of and maximize your ROI through the power of clear and unambiguous contracts that favor you, the BRRRR investor. It's a big goal, but we're going to do it today. How will we measure our success? I want you to leave here knowing that the resources and knowledge are available to you through the resources I provide and otherwise, so that you can control those relationships and maximize your investment. A bit about me, as I mentioned, I am the founder of BRRRRinvest.com. We'll go through the website later and I'll show you all the resources available there for you, but it's really based on my experience as an attorney. I currently serve as partner and chief legal counsel for a real estate investment firm called Life of Fire Investments. We invest in hotel projects, real estate on an international basis, and I do all the legal work for that company. I previously worked as a real estate and corporate finance attorney for 2 large law firms in the US for 10 years. And you can see here a list of some of the clients I've had, some of the names that you'll recognize both in and outside of the real estate field, but have built up a sufficient legal knowledge and really billions in deals and deal experience over the years, helping people raise capital, buy and purchase real estate, that I've packaged kind of together in what you'll see later in the presentation into contracts that are client favorable, that I use for my own portfolio, that the clients that I had in the past used when they were buying and selling real estate. So it's all going to be available to you as well, and it's the knowledge I hope to share with you. As I mentioned, I'm also a BRRRR investor myself, have been for the last 10 years, have built a portfolio for myself that fortunately has given me that financial freedom that so many of us desire. And I'm giving you all the same tools that I use to do that myself. Learning from experience. One of the things I want you to take away from today is the benefits that come from saving time and not making the same mistakes that somebody who did it before you has. So whether you're new to this, whether you've done a couple deals, there's always things you can improve. And I'm going to show you a bunch of things that you can avoid today so that you just remove the headaches from all this, but also learn to enjoy investing in real estate, seeing your properties come to life, getting tenants, and also getting those checks in the mail, that mailbox money that comes every month. So investing disaster. My first project was a house that I bought in 2012 in Cleveland, Ohio. I lived there for a year, called a live-in rehab. I rehabbed the property when I was there. After a year, I moved back to be closer to my job in the city and rented the property out, also did the refi, etc. So went through the whole BRRRR process kind of before BRRRR and everything became a popular acronym that we all know, and have unfortunate, I guess, or a fortunate learning experience to tell about it. So that property, I made several mistakes. I rented it to tenants really like me at the time, you know, folks in their late 20s who, I guess other than me, were more interested in parties and doing that kind of thing than taking care of the properties. But I guess I saw a little myself in them and was sympathetic and let them stay in the property. And that was a mistake on the tenant screening front. They had their friends staying there. It wasn't just the two who signed the lease. So it really became a bad situation. Complaints from neighbors. That balcony that you see there in the front became a place for lawn chairs and coolers, and you can imagine the kind of things. I had the law firm that I was working for at the time. One of our big clients in town was a bank that was founded in the city there. And one of the executives at the bank lived on the street with me and was sending letters to my boss at the time saying that I was a slumlord and running this property and it was all parties and craziness, and threatening that if I didn't do something, this client, this bank of ours, was going to leave the law firm that I work for. So obviously it started to get crazy when you're threatening my boss and all these kinds of things, and it makes you say, gosh, is real estate really something for me? But you know, we move forward. Here you can see a copy of police report that I pulled just to show you kind of what can happen. The truck there you see in the picture is moved over into the front lawn of the neighbors and ran over that electric box there. So just all kinds of craziness, a lot of which could have been avoided, and a lot of which is my own fault that I've since learned from and put measures in place to prevent. So what were some of the problems? Bad tenant screening, didn't require the right information. As I mentioned, I met these guys, I liked them, I saw some of myself in them and said, okay, cool, you guys want to take the property, I'm happy to let you rent it. And probably a little bit of laziness too, and finding, you know, a tenant within the first couple people that I met. Bad lease. Despite being a lawyer, I was really kind of lazy when it came to this, and didn't treat my rentals as a business, did include it in the right penalty provisions in the case of a breach, or sitting on the balcony and having parties, or not treating the property correctly. That was my mistake. No control over the property manager. Really just had a relationship that wasn't working, nobody visiting the property, and just not strong enough relationship with the property management, and not enough in the documentation that I had with them to be able to require them to take the measures on my behalf that needed to be done to fix these problems. So no contract penalties, errors in planning, just failing to plan for the worst in advance, and knowing the problems that could come up. As I mentioned, this was my first project that I had done on my own. So all of the craziness that can come with having tenants and working with a bad property manager were foreign to me, and things I had to learn from experience, which I hope you can avoid, doing. And like I said from a little bit ago, didn't treat my investment like a business, which is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. The lesson: if you don't protect yourself legally, you'll never protect yourself financially. The provisions you include in your contracts to make them unambiguous from the beginning with your tenants, your contractors, your property managers are absolutely crucial to your success, so that you're not fighting about things down the road or leaving yourself open to interpretation, because if you do, people will take advantage. It's just unfortunately the way of the world and the circumstances that we find ourselves. So you have to be proactive, treat your investments like a business, and do the right things from the start. What did the first deal in Cleveland teach me? Successful means being legally protected, as I mentioned. Getting contracts from a Google search, as we often do, or trying to create them yourself, or taking them from someone who's inexperienced, is just a reckless way to run a business. They need to be prepared with an investor's best interest in mind. Often that means not even just, oh, I'm going to hire an attorney and they're going to do it. What's the problem with most attorneys? They're not also investors. So you're asking them to proactively include contract provisions to protect you, but they've never lived the experience. They've never been able to say, okay, I need to include language about this fact pattern because this is something that's likely to occur. You need the knowledge and insight of somebody who's doing what you're doing, and that's investing in real estate, and particularly through the BRRRR strategy. A lot of attorneys know the law, but they do not think like investors, nor do they often invest themselves. And this is just something that's a factor of the industry. Attorneys do a lot of legal work, but they don't know a lot of investments because they don't have a lot of time on their hands to analyze projects, consider all these things. So their investment has to be a lot more passive, stock market related, etc., than what we're talking about here. So what did I do? Started a database of common issues I saw in my own investing that could be handled with the right legal language. I could put stronger language in my lease agreements, put stronger language in my contractor agreements and property management agreements that would protect me from the start. After a lot of trial and error, I prepared contracts tailored to protect us as BRRRR investors that we can use project after project in our own investing to maintain consistency. I realized what the value of this could be to others in terms of time and money, time saved, not having to learn from costly mistakes, not having to hire attorneys, as I mentioned, and to say this not as a means to brag, but to give you a real sense of what the market was. When I was last with a firm in the US, my billable hour, so every hour I worked as an attorney, was $750. You're going to see here how you can get access to all the contracts I use for my contract or for my portfolio that I prepared myself for as little as $50 a month. So you can have everything for a year for less than one billable hour that you might hire an attorney to help you out for in the US. So stick with me, see how this can all help you, and I think you're going to be as excited as I am about it. Why we're here today: taking control of your portfolio. Contractors, property managers, tenants, the people I mentioned that are crucial to your success. I jumped one ahead. Let's start first talking about contractors. So managing your contractor. What's the biggest thing we worry about here with contractors is delays, walking off jobs, overcharging for things, all the things that people say, oh my God, why did I get into real estate if I have to deal with these kinds of folks? A lot of it you can prevent by being clear in your contracts up front. My experience with contractors has been, there's a lot of great ones, there's bad ones, but a lot of them are not strong when it comes to attention to detail, and clarity is absolutely important. So if you're leaving things up for guessing or the discretion of the contractor, you're in a way setting your own fate and setting yourself up for trouble. So how do we handle these kinds of things? Requiring the scope of work. All the contracts that I use have a very detailed scope of work as to what I expect of the contractors and what they're going to be doing on my behalf. So we go room by room, we specify these things, and I really advise that you do the same. Part of doing that and part of making sure the contractor is looking at that is having this scope of work in your contract. We make that available to you. Buying materials and getting discounts. What are the benefits of these? You really want to limit the upcharges that you're getting from your contractors. So if they're buying materials on your behalf, often something that costs $100, you're getting charged $150. What we put in all of our contracts, and I think is a strong point, is giving yourself the ability to buy materials for your project, get the discounts. It really provides you with a lot of benefits. The first is limiting those upcharges. If something costs $100, now you're paying $100 because you're on the phone with the representative at Home Depot placing the order. It sounds like it could be a lot of work, but in my experience, often what happens is the contractor goes, they pick out all the supplies for you. When they're ready for checkout, they call you and you give your credit card over the phone, and it's as simple as that. This also puts you in a position for great savings through credit card points. Obviously, if you're making a big purchase of materials, you're going to get the benefit of that back in points. And at the same time, you're making an investment. So it helps reduce your costs while also saving you. You get to maximize with the language that we have here, the discounts that are available to the contractors. So often they will have discount programs for contractors at places like Lowe's, Home Depot, that you might not get as an individual buyer, but since they're a frequent customer, they get access to. This gives you the ability to access their rights that they have through those programs. Frankly, too, this is a great learning experience. A lot of people ask about, oh, how do I estimate rehab costs? What does it cost for a new floor? What is this painting? What's it going to cost to paint this property? Buying the materials and understand what's going into the project is going to help you for your next project when you say, okay, I'm going to make an offer, but I'm not really sure because I have to estimate the cost of this new kitchen repair, things along those lines. You're going to be able to make better calculations, and you're not going to be as dependent on others as you develop the learning base that comes from the experience of buying materials, understanding what's going into your rehab. So consider that as another investment in your own education. Definitely want to include this in your contracts to get all of those benefits. The contracts that I use have very investor-friendly payment terms, and super important, mandate that no payment is made until you, the customer, have made your reasonable inspection of the property. So we want to make sure we're not paying too much up front where the contractor is disincentivized to continue the work throughout the process. And we also want to make sure that the final payment is not made until you've had a chance to say, okay, this work meets my standard. The concern you have is the contractor might have a very different definition than you as to what it means to complete the work of the project. They say we've done it, they walk off the job, they demand payment. If it's in their discretion to make that decision, you're really in a tough spot. So reasonably being able to evaluate the reasonable completion of the project, make sure that's up to you, is hugely important, and balancing those payments throughout so that the contractor truly is inspired to finish the last part of the job, because that's when a big payment comes to them. Super important to be precise about that language in your contracts, not leave it up for debate. Investor-friendly contract terms, some additional that we have in there: requiring inspection before payment, as we mentioned, mandate approval of change of work orders. You don't want contractors just deciding independently what needs to be changed, not providing you details on it, estimates, and the amount starts to add up. Maybe you find a contractor who gives you a great bid up front, but they know that they're doing it to get the job, and then a bunch of other things are going to get tacked on down the road. Don't want to get caught in that trap, and especially don't want to give them the ability to make those decisions on your behalf. Also, assume all liability for subcontractors. If you're hiring a GC, they should be responsible for the people that you bring in. BRRRR investing and all that we do is supposed to be more of a passive thing for you. You don't want them, you don't want to be responsible for now interviewing all the subs and bearing liability for them. Let's move on to property managers and language you can be including in the contracts with them to make sure they're more accountable to you. Just like with contractors, all shapes and sizes, all levels of ability. Of course, you know that. So kind of one takeaway from today is assume the worst, plan for the worst, but be proactive and have the right language in your contracts. Property manager contract, specifically requiring the PM to get your approval for payment of repairs. I like to put in a threshold, $200, $250, whatever you're comfortable with, so that you're not being bothered with minor things. But of course, if you're starting to see patterns of, oh, there's a lot of $200 charges, and they all, for some reason, happen to fall below this threshold, you might want to look into it. But really, you want to make sure that nothing happens big without your approval, but also that you're not being bothered with the little stuff unless it becomes problematic. So got to have that language in there and make it clear what a property manager has to ask you permission for before they can do it. Are you overpaying your property manager's monthly fees and could be doing better? This is really a big one, I think. You deserve the benefit of growing your portfolio and giving more business to a property manager. And to me, that means you pay less fees. Market rate typically for property manager fees on your first property, if you just own one single family home, are likely to be 10% of collected rent. So if you get $1,000 a month in rent, $100 is going to be going to your property manager. What I do in my contracts is give myself the benefit where my portfolio is growing. So in the case where I have three properties with one property manager, the percentage that applies to the fees that apply to the full portfolio drops down to 8. If I add another 3 properties, it drops down to 6. So that percentage applies retroactively to the whole portfolio. So at the point that I have 6 properties, I'm then paying 6% management fees across all of the properties versus the initial 10. You got to do it, and you should be getting the benefit of giving somebody repeat business who you're working well with. Hugely important and can really maximize your cash flow. Super important to have this language. This is a long, detailed provision that I would advise you use what we've put together so you're not missing anything, but something along these lines should be in your contract and something you're negotiating with your property managers. Leasing to your tenants, maximizing your cash flow. Auto renew provisions in your leases. We love BRRRR, we love the autopilot nature of it, we love passive income, we love getting checks in the month every mail, or checks in the mail every month, excuse me. Lease renewal, you want this to be happening automatically. You do not want to be renegotiating leases or having tenants, having to have conversations with the tenant about whether you're going to renew every time a lease is coming up. So just have it renew automatically. Easy provision that we include in all our contracts so that you don't even have to think about it. Everything renews for the same term. So if it's a 1-year lease, it'll automatically renew for that same period. Strict late penalty provisions. You know, the one thing that tenants will do is, oh, my rent came in 2 days late, 3 days late, whatever. It's just not fair to you. Often we're buying these properties with debt. We have mortgages we have to pay. Tenants have to know that for this to work, you have to get paid on time too. We include these strict penalties so that tenants are paying on time, and if not, they're getting penalized for it. Super important to have. Are your leases on autopilot? This is a big one, I think, and something that you gotta have. Automatic rent escalation. So you want to determine a percentage up front when you sign that tenant on day one about how much the rent for that property is going to increase with each renewal. Not, again, something you want to talk about each time that lease comes up. So We include 5%. You're free to include what you think is fair and that works for you. The important point is having this in the contract at the beginning so that there's no question about it and tenants already agreed to it when that lease renews next year. Some other investor-friendly provisions that we have: deposit catch-up for renewed leases. So let's say the let me help you with that one. So let's say the rent escalator provision kicks in and now the lease costs another $50 a month. What this does is requires the tenant in their next payment to add another $50 so that your security deposit is always current with the amount of rent that then is being charged, so that you don't have a security deposit for $1,300 and in year 3, when the lease has gone up by $150 a month, you have a $150 gap there. So it has that catch up. Require full rent for rental period, even if the tenant moves out early. So what we don't want is a tenant comes into the property, supposed to be there for a year. After 6 months, they have to leave. They should be paying for that full year. It hurts you. You have to find a new tenant. Often you have to find with your property manager, a new person, which requires you to pay your property manager 1 month's rent to help you re-let the property. So it's really hurting you. Tenants shouldn't have that freedom. So we say, okay, if you sign a 12-month lease, you're on the hook for 12 months worth of rent. Permitting pets in a responsible way to drive cash flow, increase your pool of possible tenants. We include an additional deposit for pets and then also a monthly payment, $25 for that pet. You know, a lot of people get scared about having pets in their properties. I've never seen an issue if you are limiting also the size of the pet. But, you know, if somebody has a cat or a small dog, this is a way to get some great cash flow for really very little damage that often results. Also, one recommendation is to not limit yourself to your tenant pool by excluding pets. You're going to get a lot less applications for a rental that you have if you tell people they can't have pets. It's a lot better, and I've never seen too much pushback from people to just say, just pay a little bit more and it'll be fine. And you often benefit in the long run because any damage caused by pets is very minimal, in my experience. So what have we done? We've taken all these different contracts, packaged them into one solution, one software that you can use through our online membership, where you can get access to all these different contracts. You'll see as we go through it, super investor friendly, fill in the blanks, all prepared by professional attorneys, where you can find and use these same contract provisions to benefit your own portfolio. They're guided, fill in the blanks, super easy. I'm going to show you how each contract can be completed in less than 2 minutes as you get familiar with them. So why should we care? Security over our portfolio using investor-friendly language that sets you up for success. Avoid the problems that I showed you in that Cleveland property a few minutes ago by being proactive up front. Also, what does this strong legal language do? It increases your cash flow. It's not just a preventative thing, but it facilitates other ways for you to drive revenue. Things like buying your own materials, auto renewal provisions for your rentals, pet fees, penalty provisions. Those all have a monetary impact. So if you could use these contract provisions to generate another $100, $200 a month for a property you own, what would that do to your ROI? A lot of times when we're doing the BRRRR strategy, we take out a loan, it drives down our cash flows because we now have a mortgage payment, and we're looking at a property of, I don't know if this cash flow justifies it. You're leaving a lot of meat on the bone if you're not taking advantage of all of these kind of contract provisions to drive your ROI. So it's all here for you to do. A case study. I want to show you kind of, as I mentioned, where I was and where I've come to, and present to you this short video of a recent project I've done. Much better in terms of the rehab, the property managers, the tenant, and I credit it to having these strong contract provisions in place and enjoying the benefits of those as I saw a great project come to life. rehab, completed it early. It was under budget. Property manager that I work with, we now have super clear expectations about what we expect of one another. Tenant pays on time. We've been fortunate enough to go through one lease cycle 1 year and have auto renewed that for a 5% increase on rent that the tenant is paying. Tenant pays, manages their utilities, and most importantly, they know the expectations that we have between each other, and that it's important that they pay, and that they pay on time, and that there's penalties for failing to do so. So you can see the huge difference here versus the Cleveland experience and where we've come and what the portfolio is looking like now, and how we're duplicating this experience across properties because we're using the right contracts and doing things proactively. You're probably thinking, aren't these big construction companies, property managers, just going to bully me into signing the agreement that they give me? Really, my opinion is stay local and stay small. Use people, obviously, that are qualified and have good experiences, but stay away from the big companies because you may find yourself in this position. The other thing that I don't like about working with those folks is the relationship is very impersonal. I like the ability to call my property manager, ask them questions, see if there's something they can do to go look at the property. If your portfolio is just a small piece of a mega portfolio that somebody's managing, you're really not going to get that individual treatment. If your property is just one of many that a huge construction company is working on, you're not going to get the treatment and the personal relationship. I think that's important, and you're not going to have the ability to leverage those folks to be able to include all these investor-friendly contract provisions that we want. So stay small, stay local, get the benefit of all these contract provisions, and also the personal relationship that comes with working with those kind of folks. That would be a very huge recommendation that I make to you in connection with this presentation. Maybe you're thinking, are these contracts that you're telling me going to work about in every state? Lease agreement, what I want to do is set you up for success. If there's specific disclosures, et cetera, that need to be included in your state, maybe you're in a place like Chicago or another tenant-friendly jurisdiction, it might be worth having you have an attorney take a look at your lease agreement. But what you get from the start is a contract that has all those investor-friendly provisions that I'm talking about. So when that attorney you have look at your contract, looks at it and says, okay, you need this disclosure, it's 30 minutes of work versus having them start from scratch or using a template that you found on Google and asking them, hey, make this contract and write it so that it's in my best favor. You're going to pay a ton of money and it's not going to be good for you. Construction contract, property management contract, those should work for you in any place that you are. They're going to comply with just simple matters of contract, that you have an agreement, etc. Won't be as personal and rights heavy as you get into with lease agreements. So I think the contracts I present you put you in an incredibly strong starting point to save money if you need to have a lawyer look at it, but also to have all these investor-friendly contract terms that you're not going to find elsewhere, and you're not going to find somebody who can write them for you for any kind of reasonable price. Sounds great, but I'm just getting started. Now is the time to get started knowing what to look for in deals, contract terms that will govern your project. One on time, as they say, is late. You want to start educating yourself now, familiarizing yourself with the contracts that you're going to be entering, so that when that project comes along, there's no delays and you can jump right into it. So pick up your membership, start familiarizing yourself with the contract, all the other tools that are going to be available to you that I'm going to show you in terms of being able to interview your team, ask them the right questions. All that's going to be applicable from the start. So there's no reason to wait. And I think you'd be putting yourself in a detrimental position if the day before you're going to sign an agreement with a property manager, you're trying to familiarize yourself with what the rights are going to look like. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not a lawyer. How easy is this to do? As I mentioned a little while ago, I'm going to show you how you can use these contracts to sign and hire your property manager, lease to your tenant, sign with your construction or with your contractor in less than 2 minutes on terms friendly to you, something that's not available anywhere else, and that's going to be a strong boost to your portfolio from a cost savings perspective, and especially a time saving perspective. So let's take a look at this quick video. This is me just filling in a property management contract. I'll walk you through it a little bit, but you'll see that it's fill in the blank, completely adaptable, modifiable for terms that you want to include. Maybe you want to modify a pet provision in a lease agreement. It's all there for you, all built on the system, super, super investor friendly and easy to use. Let's take a look at the video. As I mentioned, all the different contracts that are available to you. Quick and easy prompted fields for you here to include the name, the date, the people that you'll be working with, the address for the property, all neatly prompted so that you're not going to overlook anything as you go through these contracts. Address that will be managed, and this is usable whether you hire the property manager or you're going to be managing your own properties, completely functional in that respect. Here you can see a lot of the provisions that we talked about a little while ago. As I mentioned, the contracts are completely adaptable, make changes, anything that you need to do so that they're in your best interest and friendly. And if you have things that you want to include there, we can always work on those together so that you get some language that will be beneficial to you or any specific situation you're dealing with. Include the state where the property is located so you know what law is going to govern the contract that you're using, and then it's easy to sign right there. Send it over to your property manager and say, hey, send this back to me. We're going to work together under these terms. Save it to the system. All of your contracts will be saved in one neat place. And then you can download it as a PDF so that it's available for email, or you can print it and give it to the person you need to. All super easy to use, and just click through. You'll see here the changes that we made in the provision, about $100, $50 for the lease renewal fee. Those changes are reflected here and all get picked up when you do that conversion into the contract. There's your signature, print it out, sign it, send it to the next person, you're good to go. Cool, so what are some things worth re-emphasizing from the contract solution you just saw? It's flexible, it's guided, it's fast, it's easy to use, and the big thing is it removes the doubt that we often have as investors is, man, did I include everything that could help my investment there? As I mentioned at the start, I've drafted these using the 10 years of experience that I've had working on my own portfolio, the portfolio of clients, and understanding and knowing the common issues that come up as we're acting as landlords, as we're working with our property managers and as our contractors, so that you're not in a position of guessing when you've never done a project before about the kind of things that you should be including in your contracts and addressing up front. Fortunately, unfortunately, I've lived those experiences for you, and I want to try and give you the benefit of that. Recap, with our BRRRR solution, protect yourself as a BRRRR investor by contracting wisely with your contractors, property managers, and tenants. Control those relationships in your investment life that are so crucial to maximizing your ROI, and also avoid the massive legal bills that come with doing so. As I mentioned, if you had hired me, if you hire another lawyer, you're looking at $750, $800 an hour just to have somebody sit and work on your projects. You're going to see the prices here, and I think it's almost a little bit unfair how cheap it is. So take advantage of it, maximize your portfolio, have the success that I desired for you. What could I lose? What's my downside of working with us? We've really got you covered here as well. I believe so strongly in the documents and the contracts and the tools that we have available, because I use them for my own portfolio, that we've said, if you can't get a deal done in the first year of working with us, we're going to return every penny that you put into this to you as a 1 year, one deal guarantee that we've put together. So we've completely removed the risk for you, put it on our side to say, if you can't get that deal done, you get all your money back. I'm here to assist. The other folks I work with are here to assist to make sure that you are able to leverage the contracts and everything we're doing to your advantage, so you do get that property done. And I hope a lot more. It's also tax deductible if you're using it through your business. So you're in such a strong position when it comes to trying the solution out, seeing how it can benefit you, that I think it would be, I don't know, against your own interests not to check it out. What have we learned so far? Controlling your relationships with your contractors, property managers, tenants is crucial to maximizing your investments. You do have the ability to control these relationships by working with us. Getting started is risk-free to you through our guarantee, tax deductibility, and the presence of our team to carry you through this process. Also, save yourself a ton of uncertainty, cost, and expense is now possible. As I mentioned, I don't want you guessing without having done projects or without having done a lot of projects about the things that you need to be thinking about and the issues that you need to be anticipating. Learn from our experience, use the software and the programs that we've put together and the tools so that you're in such a strong position that you can do this confidently and in a manner that you enjoy. Specifics, here's what we've created for you. An opportunity for new investors and also more experienced investors, those who want to go from I can't to I will, and those who want to take their investing from where it currently is to the next level. Great investors, as we know, take action. We made this super easy for you to participate, all in one solution that anyone that can use, risk-free. So let's do this together. Let's get into the specifics about cost and how you join us. Membership options. We've created 3 options for whatever you're comfortable with. Monthly comes with full access to our deal analysis and legal solutions. So it's not just the contract solution that we talked about. You're also going to be able to analyze all your deals, choose the kind of purchase option that you're doing, whether it's you're buying with cash, a conventional loan, hard money lender, easily see what your projections are going to be for the next 5 years, see how that looks as you go through the refinance process, what that does on returns. Also, a lot of us look at multiple exit strategies, so you're going to be able to compare the BRRRR strategy versus if you were to treat a property as a flip and sell a couple months after purchase. You can do that monthly for $49.99, or you can do it and save $100 a year a month by signing up for the annual subscription of $499.99. And again, any price that you choose is really going to be less than 1 hour that you would pay for an attorney, so I think you can't go wrong. We also have a lifetime membership available for $1,000. That comes with our BRRRR deal checklist, really personalized attention from our team. We'll work with you on contracts that you may have been given from a property manager or a contractor that you'd like us to take a look at and let you know if we think it has the investor-friendly provisions that we've talked about here that you should be including. So our team's available to you with that package. Any option you choose, monthly, annually, premium, they all are backed by our 1 year, one deal guarantee. So again, that's 100% of your money back if you can't get one BRRRR in your portfolio in the first year of working with us. Any option you choose is worth it. Our clients on average save $675 in upfront costs per BRRRR deal. And if you're getting into hiring attorneys, the price is incalculable. If you hire an attorney to work for you for 10 hours and you're paying $500, $750 an hour, now comparing that to what you get for $50 a month, you just can't go wrong. Doesn't count even the $675, doesn't even count the bump in cash flow that occurs when certain of these contract provisions are triggered. So if you're having pets and you're getting a bump from that, if you have the ability to purchase your own supplies, the benefit you get on your contract, on your credit card points, everything that comes with that, the numbers just continue to grow and grow as you leverage more of those provisions that are super friendly to you. Doing the math, We've created it at BRRRR.com. You can see the link there at the bottom of the page where you can sign up and see all the tools and solutions we provide. Ability for you to see the cost savings that are available through our solution versus hiring attorneys, the time and cost of trying to recreate these contracts and documents yourself, do the analysis, create spreadsheets, all the kind of stuff that you'd have to do to duplicate the things that we're providing to you for such a low cost. So you can see in this video here, and I'll show you, on the web page you can go and play with this, but essentially it allows you to enter the number of deals that you do per year, your annual salary, and see the comparison features. And really in this deal number 2, the results start to get so ridiculous that you're going to be kind of blown away about the savings that are available to you. But I encourage you to go check it out and play around with it. So what else do you get? As I mentioned, you get full access to our BRRRR all-in-one solution, the deal analysis feature, which is going to give you the ability to see what the financial returns will look like over 5 years, allow you to compare it to a potential flip option. You also have the ability to save all the deals you ever analyze. So maybe you analyze one now, you're going to wait and see if it stays on the market for a while. 3 months later, you can go back, see the analysis, and it'll all still be there for you throughout the lifetime of your time with us. That's there for you along with the contracting solution, the full analysis. We also include in the package an offer letter generator. So if you are driving for dollars, working with off-market deals, sending documentation to sellers, everything's integrated so that after you run the analysis, if you say, okay, I'm going to pay $100,000 for this property, it's going to automatically generate an offer letter for you that you can, again, download, print, send to people. Super easy to use, and again, takes that idea of, oh, should I have included something in my offer letter that I didn't, out of the equation, because it's the same offer letter that we send and that we've used for 10 years. Interviews. This is a reason to jump on board quickly, because the first part in any successful portfolio is building the team that around you, your lenders, your real estate agents, your contractors, your property managers. I've included the list of questions that I would ask any one of these folks before I considered bringing them on my team. All of that can be saved in the system. You can interview, let's say one day you're going to interview 4 property managers. You can do them back to back to back to back and see their answers side by side, so you know who's best to choose. Same with lenders. You can see their rates, their fees, all the terms that they're going to be looking for in working with you. Do them all at once. Ask them the right questions. Take that doubt out of your mind of, oh, am I asking all the questions, or what did I forget, or what surprises are coming? Take that all away and rely on the experience that we've used to build these questions and lists and everything that you should be using to maximize your portfolio. So what do you get? BRRRR contracting solution that we went through, full access to the deal analyzer, offer generator, interview tool. Also, we have so much more on our page for blog information, educational things that are available to you. Total savings per deal, $1,475. If you try to recreate all of this, do this on your own, the time and cost savings that are available to you. So to save $1,475, you're spending as little as $50 a month. Can't beat the value, and I encourage you to try us out, because again, you can do it risk-free. We've got our 1 deal, 1 year guarantee. Totally tax deductible. Again, our team is here to help you. It'd be a shame not to try something out that in the long run is an investor, something that's going to benefit you so much. Weighing the options, you can hire expensive attorneys, try to create these documents yourself, spend a bunch of time and money playing the guessing game when it comes to what should be in my contracts, am I doing my numbers correctly? Or you can piggyback off my 10 years of experience as an investor, as a legal counsel for, you saw the names at the beginning of the presentation, people that are doing real deals, big real estate projects. You get the benefit of all that for an easy, low price. Other people are loving what we're doing. include some reviews here so you can see the positive nature and the positive experience that people are having working with us. I really hope you decide to do the same. You can find out more and sign up at BRRRR.com. That's 4 R's. You'll see the link at the bottom of the page there. Either way, I hope this presentation has been super helpful for you. And I hope, as I mentioned from the beginning, you understand and are able to take control of your portfolio, take control of the relationships that you're entering into with your property managers, contractors, tenants, all those people on your team that are going to be crucial to you. And I think the biggest part of that is being proactive, benefiting from the experience of others, and putting yourself in the strongest position to be able to succeed and enjoy all the benefits of real estate investing, the BRRRR strategy, the financial freedom that comes from it, and doing it in a way that's as convenient, fun, and easy for you. Come sign up with us, realize the savings and benefits that are available for you, and let's get you that next BRRRR into your portfolio. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day, and I really appreciate your time.